Haribol, Namaste. Welcome back again to another Krishna book reading. My name is Janapati Das, and we are going to get right into the Shravanam Kirtanam, hearing and chanting Krishna's names as the prime benediction for humanity at large, the highest form of meditation that you can engage in, which enables one to be able to have peace of mind due to the cooling effects of material existence on material existence, and the fires of lust and envy is cooled by the soothing sounds of the transcendental meditation of kirtan. So let me offer my respectful obeisances to all of you and unto my spiritual master as well. Haribol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, thank you again for joining. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, and share to give more and more people the message of the Krishna book reading. So, got a little microphone here sticking out. So, today we are going to get into another Krishna story, a very wonderful story, worshiping Govardana Hill. And we just recently had a celebration of the appearance day of Lord Nityananda Prabhu, who is no different, is the same personality as Balaram. And so we were celebrating that. This next month we'll celebrate Lord Chaitanya's appearance day, who is Krishna incarnate. And the story we're reading now is the story of Govardana Hill, which is a very, very special story, as all stories of Krishna are special, but this is a wonderful story reminding the devotee of Krishna to always take shelter in all cases, in all circumstances, in all situations, always taking shelter of Krishna. As they always say, when you're happy, remember Krishna. When you're sad, remember Krishna. When you're angry, remember Krishna. Just always chant Krishna's names and always take shelter. The devotee who takes shelter and surrenders to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and Gurudev, following the instructions and applying the life, are assuredly on the path to return back home to Krishna, back to our normal and eternal relationship that we have with the Supreme Lord. There is no other way, and that's why it is said, Harinama, 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 Eva Kevalam, Kalo, Nasteva, Nasteva, Gatiranyata. Chant the holy names, chant the holy names, chant the holy names. In this day and age of quarrel, chaos, and confusion, there is no other way, there is no other way. There is no other way than the hearing and chanting of Krishna's names. So this is non-different. When you hear and chant Krishna's names, you are in the process of surrendering to Krishna, because Krishna is non-different than his names. While engaged with the Brahmanas, who were too involved in the performance of Vedic sacrifices, as you remember, the last story was the story of getting food asking food stuff from the Brahmanas and then from the wives. And the devotees of the Brahmanas, the Smarta Brahmanas, were too puffed up to give Krishna and Balaram food initially, until his wives were, as pure devotees of Krishna, engaged in the service of Krishna and showed the Brahmanas how it was done. But the Brahmanas, even if they were sorry in the last story, they were still fearful, because they could not, and therefore they could not completely surrender to Krishna 100%. But as Krishna said in the Bhagavad Gita, abandon all varieties of religious sacrifices like the Brahmanas, and just surrender unto me. I will give you all protection. Do not fear. So Krishna is able to give the devotee complete protection, because the devotee dovetails his whole life towards the service of Krishna. And this story of Govardana Hill is another testament to this truth that Krishna is saying about giving full protection to his devotees. Krishna and Balaram also saw that the cowherd men were preparing a similar sacrifice in order to pacify Indra, the king of heaven, who is responsible for supplying water. As stated in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, a devotee of Krishna has strong and firm faith in the understanding that if he is simply engaged in Krishna consciousness and Krishna's transcendental loving service, then he is freed from all other obligations. A pure devotee of Lord Krishna does not have to perform any of the ritualistic functions enjoined in the Vedas, nor is he required to worship any demigods. So, as is said before, that this all sacrifices is to please Krishna, is to please Vishnu in one way or another. even if they're sacrifices to worship demigods, they are ultimately set up by Krishna, set up in the system to help the living entity gradually make an elevate himself to the point of serving Krishna. Being a devotee of Lord Krishna, one is understood to have performed all kinds of Vedic rituals and all kinds of worship to the demigods. Just by performing the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies or worshiping the demigods, one does not develop devotional service for Krishna, but one who is engaged fully in the service of the Lord has already finished all Vedic injunctions. Krishna ordered a stop to all such activities by his devotees, for he wanted to firmly establish exclusive devotional service during his presence in Vrindavan. Krishna knew that the coward men were preparing for the Indra sacrifice because he is the omniscient personality of Godhead, but as a matter of etiquette, he began to inquire with great honor and submission from elder personalities like Maharaj Nanda and others. Krishna asked his father, "My dear father, what is this arrangement going on for a great sacrifice? What is the result of such sacrifice, and for whom is it meant? How is it performed? Will you kindly let me know? I am very anxious to know this procedure, so please explain to me the purpose of this sacrifice." Upon this inquiry, his father Nanda Maharaj remained silent, thinking that his young boy would not be able to understand the intricacies of performing the yajna. Krishna, however, persisted, "My dear father, for those who are liberal and saintly, there is no secrecy. They do not think anyone to be a friend or enemy, because they are always open to everyone. And even for those who are not so liberal, nothing should be secret for the family members and friends, although secrecy may be maintained for persons who are inimical. Therefore, you cannot keep any secrets from me. All persons are engaged in fruitive activities. Some know what these activities are, and they know the result, and some execute activities without knowing the purpose of the result. A person who acts with full knowledge gets a full result. One who acts without knowledge does not get such a perfect result. Therefore, please let me know the purpose of the sacrifice which you are going to perform. Is it according to Vedic injunction, or is it simply a popular ceremony? Kindly let me know in detail about the sacrifice." On hearing this inquiry from Krishna, Maharaj Nanda replied, "My dear boy, this ceremonial performance is more or less traditional, because rainfall is due to the mercy of King Indra, and the clouds are his representatives. And because water is so important for our living, we must show some gratitude to the controller of this rainfall, Maharaj Indra. We are arranging, therefore, to pacify King Indra, because he has very kindly sent us clouds to pour down sufficient quantity of rain for successful agricultural activities. Water is very important. Without rainfall, we cannot farm or produce grains. We cannot live if there is no rainfall. It is necessary for successful religious ceremonies, economic development, and ultimately liberation. Therefore, we should not give up the traditional ceremonial function. If one gives it up, being influenced by lust or greed or fear, then it does not look very good for him." So the coward men, these people were in the Vaishya Varna system. So they were mercantile peoples, they were agriculturalists, farmers, they had cows, so they did in animal husbandry. This was the status that they were at. And so because their livelihood depended upon good crops, they therefore worshipped the demigod Indra, who supplies rain as a demigod. He is known as the king of the heavenly planets, but he's also in charge of the weather as a demigod. So the demigods are empowered living entities, very powerful living entities, like Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Lord Indra, Chandra. There's so many different demigods, Varuna, who are empowered living entities in positions to be sort of like administrators. So you just like you have people who are in charge of different aspects of, cities or whatnot, the water, or in charge of the environment, or in charge of the agriculture. There are actually universal demigods, or empowered living entities. So they're not really gods. They're not gods. So it's not like a whole bunch of different gods. Krishna is a god, and these people are all gods. And these are all, there is one supreme personality of Godhead, and that is Krishna. And then there are living entities who are empowered because of their sacrifices and their service to be in positions to be administrators. Their service is to be administrators of the universal affairs. So King Indra was in charge of this, and then the people would offer sacrifices. And there was a whole Vedic system of offering to demigods to achieve a heavenly status. There was a full system to help people elevate. But in this day and age, no one actually not very many people worship demigods. And if they do, it's not really for a very spiritual purpose. It's for clearly just material purpose. But even here, Krishna is saying that it's a better situation to offer things to him and not to King Indra, as we'll get into the story. After hearing this, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in the presence of his father and all the cowherd men of Vrindavan, spoke in such a way as to make heavenly King Indra very angry. He suggested that they forego the sacrifices. His reasons for discouraging the sacrifice performed to please Indra were twofold. First, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita, there is no need to worship the demigods for any material advancement. All results derived from worshiping the demigods are simply temporary. And actually, the offering to the demigods are actually in turn offered to Lord Vishnu, offered to Krishna, because Krishna is the actual main source of allowing these things to happen. So it's not really the demigods who benedict blessings or material advancement on people. It's actually Krishna. Mosquito. First, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita, there is no need to worship the demigods for any material advancement. All results derived from worshiping the demigods are simply temporary. So even the things that you do get in this material world, you may be praying for so many things, a nice wife, nice husband, lots of money, but these things are all temporary. And Krishna actually states that it's not very smart to worship for these things because of their temporary nature. A person should actually be smart, like the gopis who prayed to have Krishna as their husband, to have that loving relationship with Krishna. And those who are less intelligent are interested with temporary results, as many people in this world. They go to church if they are religious. They're like, dear God, please give me this, give me that, give me that. And even when I remember there was a time where in California I would go with another god brother of mine who's now since left his body and gone on to left the material world. We'd go and we would chant Krishna's names in the Hindu temples, and they would let you do that. But if you go there and you would see people praying to different demigods for material benefit, they weren't really interested so much in the hearing and chanting of Krishna's names, which is very unfortunate. First is, and only those who are less intelligent are interested with temporary results. Secondly, whatever temporary results one derives from worshiping the demigods is actually granted by the permission of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is clearly stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Mayava Vihitan Hitan. Whatever benefit is supposed to be derived from the demigods is actually bestowed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Without the permission of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one cannot bestow any benefit upon others. Krishna is actually benedicting or satisfying the desires of all living entities, and that's also stated in the Bhagavad Gita as well. Those who want to come back and love him, and those who don't want to forget him, he makes it so. That's why Krishna says that Krishna is the source of all remembrance and forgetfulness. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is clearly stated that in this instance, Krishna wanted to make King Indra angry. Krishna's advent was especially meant for the annihilation of the demons and protection of the devotees. King Indra was certainly a devotee, not a demon, but because he was puffed up, Krishna wanted to teach him a lesson. He first tried to make Indra angry by stopping the Indra Puja, which was arranged by the coward men in Vrindavan. So even just like great men, sometimes they are puffed up by their status of where they are, and they become arrogant and proud. And these attitudes are not very good for a living entity to help them remember Krishna, his relationship with Krishna. So sometimes Krishna will take away those things that make him proud and enviousness. With the purpose in mind, Krishna began to talk as if he were an atheist supporting the philosophy of karma mimamsa. Advocates of this type of philosophy do not accept the supreme authority of the personality of Godhead. They put forth the argument that if anyone works nicely, the result is sure to come. Their opinion is that even if there is a God who gives man the result of his fruitive activities, there is no need to worship him, because unless man works, he cannot bestow any good result. They say that instead of worshiping a demigod or God, people should give attention to their own duties, and that the good result will surely come. Lord Krishna began to speak to his father according to these principles of the karma mimamsa philosophy. My dear father, he said, I don't think you need to worship any demigod for successful performance of your agricultural activities. Every living being is born according to his past karma and leaves this life, simply taking the result of his present karma. Everyone is born in different types of or species of life according to his past activities, and he gets his next birth according to the activities of this life. Different grades of material happiness and distress, comforts and disadvantages of life are different results of different kinds of activities, either from the past or present life. Maharaj Nanda and other elderly members argued that without satisfying the predominating God, one cannot derive any good results simply by material activities. This is actually the fact. For example, it is sometimes found that in spite of first-class medical help and treatment by a first-class physician, a diseased person dies. It is concluded, therefore, that the first-class medical treatment or the attempts of a first-class physician are not in themselves the cause of curing a patient. There must be the hand of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Similarly, a father's and mother's taking care of their children is not the cause of the children's comfort. Sometimes it is found that in spite of all care by the parents, the children go bad or succumb to death. Therefore, material causes are not sufficient for results. There must be the sanction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Nanda Maharaj therefore advocated that in order to get good results for agricultural activities, they must satisfy Indra, the superintending deity of the rain supply. Lord Krishna nullified this argument, saying that the demigods give results only to persons who have executed their prescribed duties. Therefore, demigods are dependent on the execution of duties and are not absolute in awarding good results to anyone. My dear father, there is no need to worship the demigod Indra, Lord Krishna said. Everyone has to achieve the result of his own work. We can naturally see that one becomes busy according to the natural tendency of his work, and according to that natural tendency, all living entities, either human beings or demigods, achieve their respective results. All living entities achieve higher or lower bodies and create enemies, friends, or neutral parties only because of their different kinds of work. One should be careful to discharge duties according to his natural instinct and not divert attention to the worship of various demigods. The demigods will be satisfied by proper execution of all duties, so there is no need to worship them. Let us rather perform our prescribed duties very nicely. Actually, one cannot be happy without executing his proper prescribed duty. One who does not therefore properly discharge his prescribed duties is compared with an unchaste woman. The proper prescribed duty of the Brahmanas is the study of the Vedas. The proper duty of the royal order, the Kshatriyas, is the engagement in protecting the citizens. The proper duty of the Vaishya community is agriculture, trade, and protection of the cows. And the proper duty of the Shudras is service to the higher classes, namely the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas. We belong to the Vaishya community, and our proper duty is to farm or to trade with the agricultural produce, to protect cows, or take to banking. Krishna identified himself with the Vaishya community because Nanda Maharaj was protecting many cows, and Krishna was taking care of them. He enumerated 4 kinds of business engagements for the Vaishya community, namely agriculture, trade, protection of cows, and banking. Although the Vaishyas can take to any of these occupations, the men of Vrindavan were engaged primarily in the protection of the cows. Krishna further explained to his father that this cosmic manifestation is going on under the influence of 3 modes of material nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. These 3 modes are the causes of creation, maintenance, and destruction. The cloud is caused by the action of the mode of passion. Therefore, it is the mode of passion which causes the rainfall. And after the rainfall, the living entities derive the result, success in agricultural work. What then has Indra to do in this affair? Even if you do not please Krishna, what can he do? We do not derive any special benefit from Indra. Even if he is there, he pours water on the ocean also, where there is no need of water. So he's pouring water on the ocean or on the land. It does not depend on our worshiping him. As far as we are concerned, we do not need to go to another city or village or foreign country. There are palatial buildings in the cities, but we are satisfied living in this forest of Vrindavan. Our specific relationship is with Govardana Hill and Vrindavan forest and nothing more. I therefore request you, my dear father, to begin a sacrifice which will satisfy the local Brahmanas and Govardana Hill, and let us have nothing to do with Indra. After hearing this statement by Krishna, Nanda Maharaj replied, "My dear boy, since you are asking, I shall arrange for a separate sacrifice for the local Brahmanas and Govardana Hill, but for the present, please let me execute this sacrifice known as Indra Yajna." But Krishna replied, "My dear father, don't delay. The sacrifice you propose for Govardhan and the local Brahmanas will take much time. Better take the arrangements and paraphernalia you have already made for sacrificing Indra Yajna and immediately engage it to satisfy Govardhan Hill and the local Brahmanas." Maharaj Nanda finally relented. The coward men then inquired from Krishna how he wanted the yajna performed. Krishna gave them the following directions: prepare very nice foodstuffs for all descriptions from the grains and ghee collected for the yajna. Prepare rice, dal, then halava, pakora, puri, and all kinds of milk preparations like sweet rice, sweet balls, sandesha, rasagula, and laddu, and invite the learned Brahmanas who can chant the Vedic hymns and offer oblations to the fire. The Brahmanas should be given all kinds of grains and charity, then decorate all the cows and feed them well. After performing this, give money and charity to the Brahmanas. As far as the lower animals are concerned, such as the dogs, and the lower grades of people, such as the Chandalas, or the 5th class of men who are considered untouchable, they may be given sumptuous prasadam. After giving nice grasses to the cows, this sacrifice known as Govardhan Puj may immediately begin. This sacrifice will very much satisfy me. In this statement, Lord Krishna practically described the whole economy of the Vaishya community and all communities of human society and the animal kingdom among the cows, dogs, goats, etc. Everyone has his part to play. Each is to work in cooperation for the total benefit of all society, which includes not only animate objects, but also inanimate objects like hills and land. The Vaishya community is specifically responsible for the economic improvement of the society by producing grains, by giving protection to the cows, by transporting food when needed, and by banking and finance. From this statement, we learn also that the cats and dogs, although not so important, are not to be neglected. Cow protection is actually more important than the protection of cats and dogs. Another hint we get from this statement is that the Chandalas, or the untouchables, are also not to be neglected by the higher classes. Everyone is important, but some are directly responsible for the advancement of human society, and some are only indirectly responsible. However, when Krishna consciousness is there, then everyone's total benefit is taken care of. So similarly, the activity of Krishna consciousness, the activities of serving Krishna, is in so many ways benefit directly and indirectly the whole world. So what to say of yourself? So this story will go on. There's a lot more exciting things that are going to happen, and we'll just continue next time. Thank you very much. Let's chant. Okay. Thank you very much. Haribol. See you next time.